Shalom Mizbrachah. Here's the reading of the book of Enoch, along with verses from the 66 that go with the reading of Enoch. Enoch, first book of Enoch, chapter 1, verse 1. And the words of the Baruching of Enoch, with which he baruched the elect and the righteous, who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and all the lawlessness people are to be removed from the earth. That's about our time. So Enoch wrote thousands of years in advance for the last generation. Let's go to Psalms chapter 37. There's no rapture. There's a protection for the righteous and the elect, but there's no rapture. Psalms 37, Talihim 37, verses 9 through 11. You want to be left behind. The opposite of what Hasatan and his wolves are teaching. Talihim, Psalms 37, starting in verse 8. Abstain from displeasure and forsake wrath. Do not, as a command, do not fret also to do evil, for evildoers are cut off. But those who wait on Yahuwah, they shall inherit the earth. You want to be left behind. Verse 10. Yet a little while, and the wrong, or the wicked, is no more. You shall look at his place, but it is not. Verse 11. But the meek ones shall inherit the earth, the Eretz, and delight themselves in plenty of shalom. So you want to stay on the earth. Why? Because notice what the book of Revelation says. Revelation 21. And I saw, verse 1, and I saw a renewed firmament and a renewed Eretz. For the former firmament and the former Eretz has passed away, and the sea is no more. So Yahuwah is doing a new thing with where he lives, which is the firmament above us, and on the earth. He's not destroying where he lives. He's not destroying the earth that he created. He's destroying the wicked people from the earth. And he's removing wicked ruachs from where he lives. So it's a renewed earth and a renewed firmament. Or you may use the word Heaven. Verse 3 of Hazon, Revelation 21. And I heard a loud voice from the firmament saying, See, the booth of Yahuwah Elohim is with men. He shall dwell with them. They shall be his people. And Elohim himself shall be with them and be their Elohim on the earth. He's going to be with us on the earth. It doesn't say we go up to be with him. It doesn't say that. It says he comes down to be with us. It's not complicated. Revelation 20 talks about where is the beloved city. Revelation 20 verse 9. It's on the earth. At the end of the millennial reign, Hasatan is released. He goes through the earth and affects the minds of people who have been living on the earth throughout the whole 1,000-year millennial reign. Verse 9, it says, They came up over the breadth of the Eretz and surrounded the camp of the set-apart ones and the beloved city. So where's New Jerusalem? It's not above us. It's been brought down to us. It's on the earth. So you want to be left behind on the earth. You want to be the meek that will inherit the earth. Matthew chapter 5 says the meek will inherit the earth. There's no rapture. All right, verse 2 of the first book of Enoch, chapter 1. He began his story saying, I am Enoch, a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by Yahuwah, and who saw the vision of the set-apart one in the firmament, which the Malachim showed me, and I heard everything from them. And I saw and I understood. But it was not for this generation to know, but for a remote one, which is to come. So he's talking about his generation before the flood. Everything he was seeing in visions and writing was not for his generation. For a remote generation to come, which is at the time when all of the wicked and all the lawless people will be removed from the earth. Now that happened at the flood. All were removed except for Noah, his 3 sons, their wives, and his wife. But again, that prophecy is going to happen where Yahuwah again comes down and brings judgment through his son Yahusha to the earth. All right, verse 3. When I began my story concerning the elect, I said, the great set apart one will come out from his dwelling, and the eternal one will tread on the earth, even on Mount Sinai, and appear in the strength of his might from the firmament. So we know Kubar, the world calls Moshe, was on the top of the mountain of Sinai for more than one time. He went up there multiple times. And he saw in Exodus, Shemoth chapter 24, he saw the face of an Elohim. He ate the marriage covenant meal with that Elohim that he saw face to face. But later on in Shemoth, it says that he tried to see someone else up there, but couldn't see their face. So the son was up on top of the Mount Sinai. Kubar could see him, Yahusha. And the Father, in some miraculous way, brought his esteem down to the earth, but stayed on top of Mount Sinai. And the scriptures say Kubar wanted to see the Father's esteem, but notice what the scriptures say in Exodus chapter 33, Shemoth 33. Kubar in verse 18 says, he's talking to someone mighty. He says, then he said, please show me your esteem. And he said, I shall cause all my goodness to pass before you, and I shall proclaim the name of Yahuwah before you, and I shall favor him whom I favor, and I shall have compassion on him who I have compassion. But, he said, you are unable to see my face, for no man does see me and live. Well, that would be the Father. Because in Shemoth, Exodus 24, verse 10, says they saw the Elohim of Yasharel, and under his feet like a paved work of sapphire, and like the firmament for brightness. Yet he did not stretch out his hand against the chiefs of the children of Yasharel. They saw an Elohim, and they ate and drank with him. But that's not the Father, because you can't see the Father and live. Yohanan 1, verse 18. Yahusha himself says nobody can see the Father. Verse 18, no one, he's including Kubar, he's including Abraham, he's including all of the people that have ever lived, no one has ever seen Elohim. The only brought forth Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, he did declare. Nobody saw the face of Yahuwah. Nobody. None of the set apart ones. But they saw a face of another Elohim, which is the Son, Yahusha, the Yah over Yasharel, the ruler over Yasharel, the principality that was appointed in Deuteronomy 32 in the Septuagint over Yasharel. They saw his face. They could not see the Father's face. Stick to scriptures. All right, verse 5 of chapter 1 of the book of Enoch. And all shall be very afraid. The watchers shall shake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them, all the way to the ends of the earth. We don't live on a globe, because scriptures plainly teach us to the ends of the earth. Our sins are cast away as far as the east is from the west, and the four corners of the earth. Verse 6 of chapter 1. And the high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be laid low, and shall melt like wax in the flame. So in the near future, something spectacular is going to happen to the earth to renew it and to wipe it clean from all evil and bloodshed and curses. Notice what Yashayahu 24 says. It's still going to happen in the future. It has not happened yet. It's happening in the future. Yashayahu chapter 24. See, Yahuwah is making the earth empty and making it a waste, and shall overturn its surface, and shall scatter abroad its inhabitants. That's not talking about the flood, because the flood is in the past. Yashayahu is talking about a future time, because is a future time. The flood was already way in the past. Verse 2, and it shall be. Shall be means future. As with the people, so with the Kohanim priest. As with the servant, so with his master. As with the female servant, so with her mistress. As with the buyer, so with the seller. As with the lender, so with the borrower. As with the creditor, so with the debtor. All is going to be affected by what Yahuwah is about ready to do on the earth. Verse 3, the earth is completely emptied and utterly plundered, for Yahuwah has spoken this word. So when it's emptied, that doesn't mean there's a rapture, but that means there's a protection. A miraculous, supernatural second Exodus protection for the righteous, while he's completely emptying and utterly plundering the earth. Verse 4, the Eretz, the earth, shall mourn and wither, the world shall languish and wither, the haughty people of the earth shall languish. So there's your, who's being taken off the earth first? Haughty, arrogant, evil ones. For the Eretz has been defiled under its inhabitants, because they have transgressed the Torah, changed the Torah, broken the everlasting covenant. They would be the people, his people, and then all other people of the earth. Because remember, Noah had Torah. He taught it to all three of his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. His three sons, in turn, should have taught all of their descendants, but something went wrong. So the whole earth is covered with the children, the offspring of Shem, of Ham, and of Japheth. So the whole earth is guilty of breaking Torah, not just the covenant people only. 6, therefore a curse shall consume the Eretz, and those who dwell in it be punished. So he's going to punish the whole earth. Therefore the inhabitants of the Eretz shall be burned, and few men shall be left. Few. So when it says few men shall be left, that means there's no rapture. And earlier on, when it says the Eretz is completely emptied and utterly plundered, but there will be a few that shall be left, or preserved, or saved, or redeemed. Verse 7, the new wine shall fail, the vine shall languish, and all those glad at heart shall sigh. The joy of the tambourine shall cease, the noise of those who rejoice shall end, the joy of the lyre shall cease. No more they drink wine with a strong. Strong drink is bitter to those who drink it. Verse 10, the deserted city, that would be Jerusalem, shall be broken down, and every house shall be shut, no one enters. There is a crying for wine in the streets, all joy shall be darkened, the gladness of the Eretz shall be gone. The city is left in ruins. Real Jerusalem is nowhere to be found right now. Well, the original Jerusalem. Real Jerusalem is the new Jerusalem coming down from above. So it says, the city is left in ruins, the gate is stricken with destruction, for thus it is to be in the midst of the Eretz among the peoples. Like the shaking of an olive tree, like the gleaning of grapes when the grape harvest is done. They lift up their voice, they sing of the excellency of Yahuwah, they shall cry aloud from the sea. Therefore praise Yahuwah in the east, the name of Yahuwah, Elohim of Yasharel, in the coastlands of the sea, from the ends of the earth, again, no globe. We shall hear songs, splendor to the righteous one. That would be Yahusha, the righteous one. But I say, I waste away, woe to me, the treacherous betray. With treachery, the treacherous betray. Fear and the pit and the snare are upon you, O inhabitants of the earth. And it shall be that he who flees from the noise of the fear falls into the pit. And he who comes up from the midst of the pit is caught in a snare. For the windows from on high shall be opened, and the foundations of the earth shall be shaken. Now that happened in the time of the flood, but remember, Yashayahu, Isaiah, is way after the flood, and it's talking about a future time. So a lot of supernatural events are getting ready to happen to this Eretz in the future. Verse 19, the earth shall be utterly broken, the Eretz shall be completely shattered, the Eretz shall be fiercely shaken, the Eretz shall stagger like a drunkard, and it shall totter like a hut. And its transgressions shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. And in that day it shall be that Yahuwah punishes on high the host of the exalted ones, that's your fallen principalities, Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. And on the Eretz, the sovereigns of the earth. There's your human kings that are puppets for the principalities. Verse 22. They shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and shall be shut up in the prison, and shall be punished for many days. And the moon shall blush, and the sun shall be ashamed, for Yahuwah of hosts shall reign on Mount Zion, that is Yahusha, taking on his father's name. and in Yerushalayim, and before his elders in esteem. If you go to Zechariah chapter 14, it tells us plainly that Yahusha comes in his father's name with his father's wrath to do his father's bidding. And it's Yahusha, the son, that sits on the throne, reigning during the 1,000-year millennial reign. And you can read about that in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. The son reigns in the millennial reign to bring about all creation back under the sovereignty of his Elohim. Revelation 3:12 says 4 times Yahusha himself has an Elohim, so there is no Trinity. So this is what we're waiting for in the near future, the rocking and shaking of this earth from the prophet Yashayahu chapter 24. Verse 7 of chapter 1 of the book of Enoch. The Eretz shall be completely torn apart. We just read that in Isaiah 24. And all that is on the earth shall be destroyed, and there shall be a judgment on all. Nobody's going to escape the judgment. Nobody. Doesn't matter what skin color you are. Nobody's going to escape the future judgment. You'll be judged whether to receive the reward or you'll be judged to receive condemnation. Revelation 21, 7 and 8. He who overcomes will inherit all of this, inherit the earth. And I will be his Elohim, and he will be my son. But the cowardly and the unbelieving and the vile and the murderers and the sexually immoral, those who practice magic arts, the idolaters, and all the liars, talking about humans, their place will be in the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death. Humans are going to face punishment for not wanting Yahuwah and his Torah in the correct way. Verse 8 of chapter 1 of the book of Enoch. But with the righteous he will make shalom, and will protect the elect, and have compassion shall be on them. And they shall all belong to Yahuwah, and they shall prosper, and they shall be baruched. And the light of Yahuwah shall shine on them. Who's the light of Yahuwah? Yohanan 8:12. Who's the light of Yahuwah? Because Enoch says the light of Yahuwah shall shine on them. So who is this light of Yahuwah? Who's the light of the world? Yohanan 8:12. Therefore, Yahusha spoke to them again, saying, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall by no means walk in darkness, but possess the light of life. So Enoch says the light of Yahuwah shall shine upon them. That's Yahusha ruling during the 1,000-year millennial reign. Revelation 21, 23 through 25. And the city does not need sun or the moon to shine on it, for the esteem of Yahuwah gives it light, and the Lamb is its lamp. The nations will walk by its light, and the kings of the Eretz will bring their splendor into it. On no day will its gates ever be shut, for there will be no night there. So once everything's said and done, at the end of the millennial reign, the Father's going to be down here with us after everyone's perfect. After the Son has reigned for 1,000 years, 1 Corinthians 15 says he turns the reign back over to his Elohim, his Father. And then the Father comes and he's ruler over all, as it should have been from the very beginning. But fallen ones challenged Yahuwah's authority, so the mediator had to step in and clean up the mess. And that's what the millennial reign is, the tool using to clean up the mess. Verse 9 of chapter 1, and behold, he, that's Yahusha, comes with 10,000 of his set-apart ones to execute judgment on all, and to destroy all the unyali, the wicked, and to convict all flesh of all the works of their unyaliness, which they have unyali committed, and of all the hard things which unyali sinners have spoken against him, spoken against Yahusha. Yahusha is the king that's riding on the white horse with the crown and the sword. Now let's go to the 66 in the book of Yahud, Judah, you know as Jude, verses 14 and 15. And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, Yahuwah comes, which would be Yahusha, with 10,000 of his saints, to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are unyali among them of all their unyali deeds, which they have unyali committed, and of all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. Spoken against who? Yahusha and his father. And Yahusha defends his father's esteem and honor. How do we know it's Yahusha? Because the 66 tells us in Yohanan chapter 5, who is the judge that comes and judges. It's not the Father, Yahuwah. Stick to scriptures. Yohanan chapter 5, verse 22. For the Father judges no one, but has given all the judgment to the Son, that all should value the Son, even as they value the Father. He who does not value the Son does not value the Father who sent him. So there's no Trinity. So that's how we know it's Yahusha coming, with the title Yahuwah of Hosts. Psalms chapter 2 also says it's the Son coming. Psalms chapter 2, verse 6, but I, this is Yahuwah saying, but I have set my sovereign on Zion, my set-apart mountain. I inscribed for a law. Yahuwah has said to me, you are my son. Today I have brought you forth. Ask of me, and I make the nations your inheritance. The nations are Yahusha's inheritance. And the ends of the earth your possession. There's no globe. Verse 9. What is Yahusha going to do with his father's permission? Verse 9 says, Psalms, Telahim, chapter 2. Break them with a rod of iron, dash them to pieces like a potter's vessel, and now be wise, O sovereigns, be instructed, you rulers of the Eretz. Serve Yahuwah with fear, and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the chosen one, lest he be enraged. Chosen one is Yahusha. Lest he be enraged and you perish in the way, for soon his wrath is to be kindled. Baruch are all those taking refuge in him. In who? Yahusha. The chosen one. The sovereign sitting on his throne on Mount Zion. Right. Enoch chapter 2. Observe everything that takes place in the sky, how the lights do not change their orbits, and how the luminaries are in the firmament, but they change now. So we're reading a long time ago, we're reading about what happened a long time ago, and Enoch is prophesying. But we know things are changing in the last days. There's a prophecy that the sun, moon, and stars would change, and the stars' orbits would change. But at this time, they haven't changed yet. But in our time, they're changing. And they do not transgress or defy their appointed order. Consider the Eretz and understand the things which take place on it from start to finish. How steadfast they are. How none of the things on the Eretz change. But all the works of Yahuwah appear to you. Behold, the summer and the winter. How the whole Eretz, the earth, is filled with water, clouds, dew, and rain lie on it. So you're going to have wolves. You're going to have wolves tell you that it didn't rain before the flood. Yes, it did. It rained. And Enoch talked about how it rained on the earth before the flood. Because Enoch lived before the flood, way before the flood. So yes, it rained. But the wolves and the uneducated ones that are pagan teachers are going to say it never rained before the flood. They're lying to you. Read all the books, including the book of Enoch. Read the books, all the books. And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Yohanan 8:32. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So read the books, learn the truth, so you can be redeemed. Chapter 2, the book of Enoch. It says that dew and rain were on the earth before the flood. Chapter 3. Observe and see how in the winter all the trees seem as though they had withered and shed all their leaves, except for 14 trees, which do not lose their foliage, but retain the old foliage from 2 to 3 years until the new comes. Chapter 4, verse 1. And again, observe the days of summer, how the sun, the S-U-N, is above the Eretz, because it's encased within the firmament. And you seek shade and shelter because of the heat of the sun, and the Eretz also burns with growing heat. So you cannot walk on the earth or on a rock because of its heat. Chapter 5, verse 20. Observe how the trees are covered with green leaves and how they bear fruit. Understand and know and recognize that he that lives forever made them this way for you. So the earth was made for man. Man was not made for above. If Adam had never sinned, he'd still be here on the Eretz with us right now. So man was created to live on the Eretz forever, for eternity. So there's no rapture going anywhere else. Adam was created on the earth. He was made to live forever on the earth, but he sinned, so he had to be punished. All his descendants were born on the earth. Everything here connected to humans started on the earth, so there's no rapture going anywhere else. The conclusion of all the trouble is going to be dealt with here on the earth. The new Jerusalem is coming down to the earth. This is what the book of Enoch teaches. This is what the 66 actually teaches. The wolves are going to teach something else. Verse 2, chapter 5. And all his works go on before him from year to year forever. And all the work and the tasks which they accomplish for him do not change. And so it is done. Consider how the sea and the rivers in like manner accomplish their course, but do not change because of his commandments. The only reason the mighty Mississippi River and other rivers change is because man has put in levees or aqueducts or have tried to change the natural flow of the Mississippi and other rivers of the earth. But Yahuwah, from the beginning, set their courses. They're going to go back to their original courses. Verse 4, but you have neither held to know, have you done the commandments of Yahuwah, but you have turned away and spoken proud and harsh words with your unclean mouths against his greatness. O you hard-hearted, you shall find no shalom. So there's a warning to people on the earth. Verse 5, therefore shall you curse your days, and the years of your life shall perish, and the years of your destruction shall be multiplied. And in an eternal curse you shall find no compassion. So we know upon the favored people, because they disobeyed Yahuwah, their destruction was multiplied. In other words, their temple was destroyed multiple times. Yasharites were sold into slavery multiple times throughout history. The descendants of the true Yasharite people are still in some sort of slavery bondage today. And as the rest of the earth, we're under bondage of evil governments. And so the words come true. Enoch prophesied. Deuteronomy chapter 11, 26 through 28. Yahuwah says, see, I am setting before you today a baruching and a curse. He's talking to his melanated Yasharite people through Kabar. The baruching, if you obey the commandments of Yahuwah, your Elohim, that I am giving you today. Kabar is talking. The curse, if you disobey the commands of Yahuwah, your Elohim, and turn away from the way that I command you today by following other gods, which you have not known. Yasharite people were to be covenant with only Yahusha. That's it. Yahuwah assigned all the principalities over all the nations, but he personally assigned the master, Yahusha, over the nation of Yasharel. They were to not know any other Elohim out there, any other principality, any other mighty one. They were only to know Yahusha, who eventually Yahusha would bring them to the Father. Verse 6 of chapter 5 of the book of Enoch. In those days you shall make your names an eternal curse to all the righteous, and by you shall all who curse, and all the sinners and Yahlis shall curse you forever. And for you, the Yahlis, there shall be a curse. Verse 7, and all the elect shall rejoice, and there shall be forgiveness of sins, and compassion, and shalom, and forbearance, and joy. There shall be redemption or salvation for them, like and a good light. And for all of you sinners there shall be no redemption, but on you all shall abide a curse. Even his people, he's not partial. He'll curse his own melanated people as well as any other pagan nation people. Verse 8. But here's the exception. But for the elect there shall be light, and joy, and shalom, and they shall inherit the earth. It doesn't say they're going to be raptured up anywhere. The elect, the chosen, the sheep, they're going to inherit the earth. We already read that in Psalms 37, 10 through 11. So let's go to what the Master said in the book of Matthew, chapter 5. Goes perfectly with the book of Enoch. Matthew, chapter 5. Verse 5. Baruch are the meek, because they shall inherit the eretz, the earth. You don't go anywhere. Stay on the earth. Verse 9 of chapter 5 of the book of Enoch. And then wisdom shall be given to the elect, and they shall all live and never sin again, either through forgetfulness or through pride. But those who are given wisdom shall be humble. So in these last days, he's choosing a people for his name out of all the nations, and they will be given wisdom and meekness and humbleness, but it's something we have to attain to. But in the millennial reign, those that inherit the earth are going to be living in meekness, going to be living in pure humbleness, no pride. Now, there will be prideful ones on the earth, but they're not going to use their free will correctly. The meek and the elect are going to use our free will correctly. Verse 10. They shall not again transgress, nor shall they sin all the days of their life, nor shall they, the elect, die of the anger or the wrath of Yahuwah. But they shall complete the number of the days of their lives, and their lives shall be increased in shalom, and their years will grow in joy and eternal gladness and shalom all the days of their lives. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 65. Yashayahu 65. Verse 1. And I am sought of them, and they asked not for me. And I am found of them that sought me not. And I said, behold me, unto a nation that was not called by my name. He's talking about the renewed covenant will become a nation of Gentiles grafted in that never knew about Yahuwah. Also, that includes descendants of the real people who never knew about Yahuwah, but they have the real bloodline DNA. But they were not taught by their ancestors the truth of how to worship Yahuwah. The renewed covenant is better than the first covenant. Hebrews 8, 6-13 says so. Okay, verse 3, he goes on to talk about Yasharel, a people that provoked me to anger continually to my face, that sacrifice in the gardens and burns incense upon altars of brick, which remain among the graves and lodge in the monuments, which eat swine's flesh, and the broth of abominable things is in their vessels. He's talking about his Yasharite people who did that. Which say, stand by yourself, come not near to me, for I am set apart more than you. These are a smoke in my nose, a fire that burns all day. So he's talking about his own covenant people. The melanated Yasharites became a smoke in his nostrils because of their pagan ways that they adopted. Verse 6, behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silent, but I will recompense, even recompense into their bosom, his own dedicated people's bosom who became evil. Your iniquities, talking about Yashua, your iniquities and the iniquities of your fathers together, says Yahuwah, which have burned incense upon the mountains and blasphemed me upon the hills. Therefore will I measure their former work into their bosom. So we're all judged by our works. Verse 8, thus says Yahuwah, as the new wine is found in the cluster, and one says, destroy it not, for a baruching is in it, so will I do for my servants' sakes, that I may not destroy them all. So he's going to still work with a remnant of his original covenant people. Verse 9, and I will bring forth a seed, a remnant, out of Jacob and out of Yehudah, an inheritor of my mountains, and my elect shall inherit it, and my servants shall dwell there. That's the Eretz. It's not talking about anywhere else. You're not going to be raptured anywhere else. Chapter 6 of the book of Enoch. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born to them beautiful and fair daughters. Let's go to the 66, Bereshit, Genesis, chapter 6. Read 1-3. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the Eretz, that daughters were born unto them. And the B'nai Elohim saw the daughters of men, because that's the Ruachs above us looking down on the Eretz. They saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them as wives of all which they chose. And Yahuwah said, my Ruach shall not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So he knocked down the years from living to 700, 800, 900 years. He knocked that down to 120. Also, at some point within Noah's years he was 600 when he went into the ark. At some point, there was only 120 years left for the preaching, for the teaching, for any repenting, and for the building of the ark, which didn't take that long. But during those last 120 years of the flood time, or before the flood time, that was it. They only had the people on the earth had a time to repent, and they didn't want to. So the days of man's life was knocked down, and the days of people living on the earth before the flood were knocked down, and they were destroyed. Verse 2 of chapter 6. And the Malachim, the B'nai Elohim, the sons of the firmament, saw and lusted after them, the women on the earth, and said to one another, come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men. Verse 3. And have children with them. And Semjaza, I'm not going to read any of these pagan names. I'm not going to say these pagan names. I'll read the letters of the name, but I'm not going to say them. Because Exodus 23:13 says, do not say the names of other mighty ones from your lips. So Semjaza, who was their leader, said to them, the other fallen ones, I fear you will not agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of this great sin. So there's no repentance for the fallen ones because they were created perfect, and they knew it was a great sin before they did it. They knew it, so there's no repentance for them. Verse 5, and they all answered him, so all the rest of the fallen Malachim answered their leader, Semjaza, and said, let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual curses, so we will not abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then they all swore together and bound themselves by mutual curses. They knew exactly what they were doing. No excuse for their bad behavior. Verse 6 of chapter 6 of the book of Enoch. And they were all, in all, 200 who descended in the days of Jared to the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they, the 200 fallen watchers, had sworn and bound themselves by mutual curses on the act. Jude chapter 1 verse 5 and 6. I will therefore put you in remembrance, though you once knew this, how that Yahuwah, having saved a people out of the land of Mitzrayim, afterward destroyed them that did not believe. And the Malachim who kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. That's still in the future. Okay, verse 7 and 8 are going to give you the names of the fallen ones. I'm going to spell them out. I will not say them. You can read it in the book of Enoch. And these are the names of their leaders. So these are the leaders of the 200. Samlazaz, their leader, which was also spelled Samjaza. Second one, Araklba, third. Rameel, fourth. Kokablel, fifth. Tamlel, sixth. Ramlel, seventh. Danel, eighth. Ezequel, ninth. Baraquijal, 10th. Asael, 11th. Armaros, 12th. Batarel, 13th. Ananel, 14th. Zaqiel, 15th. Samsapeel, 16th. Satarel, 17th. Turel, 18th. Jomjael, 19th. Sariel. These are their chiefs of tens. So there should be actually 20. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. It only lists 19, but there should be 20, so somebody's missing. Somebody's missing because it's 20, and they have chiefs of 10, which would make 200. So there's only 19 names mentioned. Very interesting. Somebody's name is missing. Very interesting. All right, chapter 7, verse 1. And all of them together went and took wives for themselves, each choosing one for himself. And they began to go into them, that's having sex, and to defile themselves with sex with them. Let's go to Bereshit chapter 5. Bereshit chapter 5, verse 32 through Bereshit 6, verse 6. Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of Yahuwah, the Bnei Elohim, saw the daughters of men that they were fair. And they took them for wives, all of which they chose. And Yahuwah said, My Ruach shall not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, the days before the flood, and also after that, after the flood. When the sons, the Bnei Elohim of Yahuwah, came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. And Yahuwah saw that the wickedness of man was great in the Eretz, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Yahusha, Lord, that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. So who made man? Let's go to Colossians chapter 1. Yahusha's considered the creator of all, but someone was in the beginning with him creating man. Mama Ruach HaKodesh was there in the beginning because she's wisdom hovering over the earth. But then someone else was there. It's a family affair. They're running the family business. And so who was in the beginning creating man with the Father? Go to Colossians chapter 1. Tells you. Colossians chapter 1. Starting in verse 13. Who has delivered us from the authority of darkness and transferred us, that would be Yahuwah, transferring people, into the reign of the Son of his love, the S-O-N, that would be Yahusha. Verse 14 of Colossians 1. So now it's talking about the Son, in whom we have redemption through his blood, the Son's blood, the forgiveness of sins, who is the likeness of the invisible Elohim, the firstborn of all creation. That's the Son is in the likeness of the Father. Verse 16 of Colossians 1. Because in him, the Son, were created all that are in the firmament and that are on the Eretz, visible and invisible, whether thrones or rulerships or principalities or authorities. All have been created through him and for him. And he is before all, and in him all hold together. And he is the head of the body, the assembly, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that he might become the one who is first in all. Because in him all the completeness was well pleased to dwell. And through him to completely restore to favor all unto himself, whether on the Eretz or in the firmament, having made shalom through the blood of his stake, or the tree. So the Father is using the Son to bring all creation back into the Father. And it's the Son who was with the Father creating mankind. Very interesting. So who repented for making man? Yahusha, king in training. Yahusha, the Son, being trained by the greatest king of all, his Father. King in training was saddened that he made man because man became so corrupt. And it hurt his heart and it hurt his father's, Yahuwah's heart. Yahuwah's perfect. He never has to relent. Yahusha's perfect as well, but he's king in training. At the time of the flood, he was king in training. Verse 2 of chapter 7. And the Malachim taught the women charms and spells and the cutting of roots, and made them, the women, acquainted with plants. And the women became pregnant, and they bore large giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, or 3,000 cubits. Pretty high. Jubilees 7, verse 21 through 25. We're going to go to another extra book, Jubilees. Verse 21, because of these three things, so there's three reasons why the flood had to come to the earth. Because of these three things came the flood on the Eretz, the earth. namely the fornications. So number one, the fornications that the watchers committed against the law of their own ordinances when they went whoring after the daughters of men and took themselves wives of all they chose, and they made the beginning of uncleanness. So these 200. So reason number one for the flood, the 200. They're fornicating. Reason number two, and they begot sons, the Nephilim, and they were all dissimilar. They were all different types. And they devoured one another, and the giants killed the Nephil, and the Nephil killed the Eljo, and the Eljo killed mankind, and one man killed another. So there were different kinds of hybrids on the earth before the flood. Verse 23, and everyone committed himself to a crime and to injustice and to shed much blood, and the rest was filled with sin. So that's reason number two for why the flood had to come to the earth. Reason number three, after this, they sinned against the beasts and the birds, and all that moved and walked on the earth. And much blood was shed on the earth, and men continually desired only what was useless and evil. And the master, lowercase Lord, destroyed everything from the face of the earth because of the wickedness of their deeds, and because of the blood they had shed over all the earth, he destroyed everything. Yahusha had a hand in bringing about the flood, because he was embarrassed of what mankind had done to his father's name and his father's esteem and his father's arrests. Verse 4, the giants consumed all the work and the toil of men, and when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. So cannibalism entered into the earth before the flood. Still here today. Verse 5, and they began to sin against the birds and the beasts and the reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh, cannibalism, and to drink the blood. So believe it or not, we're all cannibalisms. We're all guilty of cannibalism. How can I say that? Because if you've ever eaten at McDonald's or Taco Bell or Burger King or any of the fast food restaurants, guess what? You ate human flesh. It's the truth. And if you're still eating at those disgusting places, you are definitely a willing person who's involved in cannibalism. Come on, there's so much evidence on the earth for years that those fast food restaurants grind up human meat and serve it to you. Stop eating. Please, everybody, stop eating. Stop eating meat, because that's one of the commandments Yahushua brought to the earth when he was teaching the renewed covenant. No more eating meat. No more killing animals for meat. And definitely don't consume fast food restaurants meat, because it's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. The truth has come out. The truth has been exposed. Wicked ones write books about how they trick mankind to become cannibalisms and to eat at these fast food restaurants. And all these fast food restaurants are owned by the elite. So we're all guilty of it. You got to repent and stop doing it. You got to repent for past sins of being cannibals, eating at fast food restaurants, not knowing it. But then when the truth is brought to you, Yahuwah is waiting to see what you do with the truth. How do you change your lifestyle? Change your lifestyle. And the blood of Yahushua will cover over our past sins. Yasher, another extra book. Yasher chapter 2, verses 19 through 22. For in those days the sons of men began to trespass against Yahuwah, and to go contrary to the commandments which he had given Adam, to be prolific and to reproduce in the earth. Contrary to the commands which he gave Adam. Adam wasn't supposed to be a sexual beast. He wasn't supposed to, always want sex. He fell into that. He wasn't created to do that. Mankind is not to be sexually driven, but because of sin, mankind's sexually driven now. But true ones better walk in chastity, because Yahushua brought chastity into the earth, the teachings of chastity into the earth, and set it up as a commandment for the renewed covenant. We're not under the old covenant. We're under the renewed covenant. Yasher chapter 2, verse 20. And some of the sons of men caused their wives to drink a mixture that would render them unable to conceive, in order that they might retain their figures, and their beautiful appearances might not fade away. And when the sons of men caused some of their wives to drink, Zillah drank with them. So Zillah wasn't supposed to do it. This person called Zillah. Verse 22. And the childbearing women appeared abominable in the sight of their husbands, and they treated them as widows, while their husbands lived with those unable to conceive, and to those women they were attached. That's wickedness. Men are wicked when they look with their eyes only for beautiful breasts and beautiful hips and beautiful legs. That's wickedness on man's part, to only think of a woman as being a beautiful person. It's just wickedness what these men did, and it's still wicked what men do today. All right, Bereshit, Genesis 4, 8 through 12. Cain talked with Abel, his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him, killed him. And Yahuwah said to Cain, where is Abel, your brother? And he said, I not know. He lied. He said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? Verse 10. And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries unto me from the ground. And now are you cursed from the Eretz, which has opened her mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto you her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shall you be in the Eretz. All right, chapter 8 of the book of Enoch. Verse 1. And Azel, that's one of the fallen ones' names, taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and taught them about metals of the Eretz and the art of working them, and bracelets, jewelry, and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and makeup, the beautifying of the eyelids. A fallen one taught women to wear makeup. And all kinds of precious stones, and all colorings and dyes. So, if you're familiar with the scriptures, there was a goat, two goats during the time of one of the feasts called the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippurim, and one of the goat was named after this wicked one, Azel. And the Kohanim Haggadal priest from the tribe of Levite, from the family of Aaron, would lay their hands upon the head's goat and put all the sins of the whole nation of Yasharel for that past year upon the head of that goat and send it off into the wilderness. And that goat was named Azel. So all sin is attributed to that particular person. Fallen one. All right, verse 2 of chapter 8. And there was great impiety. They turned away from Yahuwah and committed fornication, and they were led astray and became corrupt in all their ways. You cannot turn away from Yahuwah unless you are already with Yahuwah and then turn away from him. So understand, scriptures say there were people who were serving Yahuwah and they turned away from Yahuwah. So they knew him at one time. They chose not to stay knowing him and doing his will. Netanyahu 5:19. Anyone who breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of the firmament. But whoever practices and teaches these commands will be called great in the kingdom of the firmament. So a teacher has to not only teach the truth, but practice the truth that they're teaching, which is not easy to do all the time. Everybody falls into temptation and sin, so you got to repent. Especially if you're a teacher sitting in this teacher seat, it's a very weighty responsibility. Verse 3 of chapter 8 of the book of Enoch. Semjaza taught the casting of spells, so he taught witchcraft, voodoo, casting of spells, and root cutting. Aros, another fallen one, taught counter spells, the release from spells. Very interesting. Baraqijal taught astrology, so don't be a part of astrology. Another fallen one named Kokabel taught the constellations, the portents. Another fallen one, Ezequel, taught the knowledge of the clouds. Another fallen one, Araquiel, taught the signs of the Eretz. Another fallen one, Shamsiel, taught the signs of the sun. And Sariel taught the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to the firmament. I found the missing name. Found the missing name. Shamsiel. There's your 20th one. All praises to the Most High. There's your 20th one. I'm going to write it in my book. So I know. So there's 20 of them that were over chiefs of 10, which made 200. And there was only 19 names mentioned. So when you go line upon line, book upon book, you'll find missing pieces to the puzzle. Right here, Shamsiel is the 20th one, or part of the 20, the chiefs of their 10s. Makes total sense. There we go. This one that was missing, because there was only 19 listed in verses 7 and 8 of chapter 6. Chapter 8 gives you the name of that 20th one. He taught the signs of the sun. Very interesting. All right, Yasher, chapter 4, verse 18 through 20. And their judges and rulers went to the daughters of men. Their judges and rulers went to the daughters of men and took their wives by force from their husbands. So now you get more of the story of how they took wives. According to their choice, and the sons of men in those days took from the cattle of the Eretz, the beasts of the field, and the fowls of the air, and taught the mixture of animals of one species with another. That's gene splicing. That's your CRISPR. That's your DNA manipulation. So this was happening in the days of Noah. It'll happen in our days as well. Matthew 24 says so. So Jasher 4 continues, in order therewith to provoke Yahuwah. And Yahuwah saw the whole Eretz, and it was all corrupt. For all flesh had corrupted its way on the Eretz, all men and all animals. And Yahuwah said, I will blot out man that I created from the face of the earth. Yes, from man to the birds of the air, together with cattle and beasts that are in the field, for I repent that I made them. Colossians 1 says, Yahusha made all that's in the firmament above and on the earth. His Father was there, teaching him, training him. So Yahusha repented, not the Father. Verse 20, and all men who walked in the ways of the Master, lowercase Lord, which would be Yahusha, died in those days before the Master brought the evil on man which he had declared. For this was from the Master, that they should not see the evil which the Master spoke of concerning the sons of men. So the word, the Logos, the Master, Yahushua Mashiach, spoke to Enoch, to write down all these words of prophecy. He's always been the mediator. From the very beginning, the word, the Logos, Yahushua, was always the mediator for mankind. How do we know? If you read the extra books, it tells you. And the 66 tells you. First Timothy chapter 2 tells us the mediator, Yahushua. Verse 5. 1 Timothy 2:5. For there is one Elohim, Alua, and one mediator between Alua and men, the man Mashiach Yahusha. He's the mediator. But he existed before he took on flesh. The Son was in the beginning. He's the light of the world. He's in the beginning with the Father, creating. So he's always been the mediator. If you read the books of Adam and Eve, you'll see that it was Yahusha, the Logos, the Word, teaching Adam in the garden how to obey the Father. Mediator's been here from the very beginning of time. Now he's the king installed by his Father. And soon the mediator will come down to the earth and destroy wicked men. So don't wear makeup. It comes from fallen ones. Jewelry comes from fallen ones. That's what Scripture teaches. Chapter 9 of the book of Enoch, verse 1. And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, Gabriel looked down from the firmament and saw much blood being shed on the Eretz. and all lawlessness being done on the Eretz. And they, the four, said to each other, let the cries from the destruction of the Eretz ascend up to the gates of the firmament. And now to you, the set-apart ones of the firmament, the souls of men, make their petition, saying, bring our case before the Most High, Yahuwah. And they said to the Master of Ages, lowercase L-O-R-D, L-O-R-D of L-O-R-Ds, and G-O-D of G-O-Ds, King of Kings, and the Yah of the ages, the throne of your esteem endures through all the generations of the ages, and your name set apart and esteemable, and Baruch to all the ages. Is that the Father or the Son? Who's King of Kings and L-O-R-D of L-O-R-D? What does Revelation say? It's not. There's no Trinity. So let's stick to what the scriptures teach. Who has been in existence from the beginning when he was created. Revelation 19 tells you. It's not the Father. It's the one he appointed. Revelation 19. Verse 12. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, because Yahusha carries many job responsibilities for the kingdom. Revelation 19:12 says, on his head were many crowns, having a name that had been written, which no one had perceived except himself, and having been dressed in a robe dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahuwah. So it's not the Father. And the armies in the firmament, dressed in fine linen, white and clean, followed him on white horses. And out of his mouth, the Son, the Word of Yahuwah, goes a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall shepherd them with a rod of iron. He, Yahusha the Son, treads the winepress of the fierceness of the wrath of Yahuwah. And on his robe, the Son's robe, and on his thigh, he has a name written, Sovereign of Sovereigns, King of Kings, and Master of Masters, or L-O-R-D of L-O-R-D, which is a pagan word. It's Yahusha. Yahusha. Put the books together. Yahusha. 1 Timothy chapter 6, 15 and 16. 1 Timothy 6. Which in his times he shall slew, or kill, who is the Baruch and only potentate, the King of Kings and the Master of Masters, who only has immortality, dwelling in the light, which no man can approach unto, whom no man has seen nor can see, to whom be the honor and the power everlasting. So be it. Sounds like it's the Father. So the Father is the highest of the highest. The Father is the King of Kings and the Master of Masters. But Yahusha bears his Father's name. Yahusha in Revelation 19, the Word of Yahuwah, the Logos, bears the title King of Kings and L-O-R-D of L-O-R-D, or Master of Masters, for his Father's honor, for his Father's esteem. There is no Trinity. No Trinity. The purpose for the millennial reign, according to the scriptures, is to bring all creation back under the highest king's authority. So the mediator uses the millennial reign to accomplish all that needs to be accomplished, to bring all creation once again back under the complete authority of his king, of his Elohim, which would be Yahuwah the Father. But until that's completed, the Son bears titles. The Son bears job responsibilities. The Son bears the Father's name on his shoulders. Verse 5. You have made all things, and you have power over all things, and all things are revealed and open in your sight, and you see all things, and nothing can hide itself from you. Look at what Azazel has done, who has taught all unrighteousness on earth, the Eretz, and revealed the eternal secrets which were made and kept in the firmament, which men were striving to learn. Verse 7 of chapter 9. And Semjaza, who taught spells, to whom you gave authority to rule over his associates, because he's the leader of the 200. Verse 8, they have gone into the daughters of men on the Eretz and have had sex with them and have defiled themselves and revealed to them all kinds of sins. So these four high-ranking ark messengers, Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel, are reporting back to someone of high authority. But the Father knows all this going on, and the Son under the Father knows. But the Malachim have job assignments. They like to report what's going on. So when you read the extra books, all the Malachim above us had their places, have their job assignments. The fallen are called the fallen because they left their job assignment. Bereshit, chapter 6, Genesis 6, verse 4. There were giants in the earth in those days, the days before the flood, and also after that, after the flood. When the B'nai Elohim came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. The same. Meaning it happened twice. It happened before the flood. It happened after. There were giants in those days before, and we know there's giants in the days after. The Kandahar giant in 2002, redhead, 12 feet high, over 1,000 pounds, 6 fingers, 6 toes, and 2 rows of teeth, killed a bunch of United States soldiers in the desert. Over in Kandahar giant in the area of, the name escapes me where they were, but David was going to be, when he was in the military, was going to be sent overseas, and I put my foot down and said, no, let's talk about this. And David came from a military family. And my Ruach knew there was just something wrong about all those wars over there. Something was wrong. Way before 2002, my Ruach inside of me just knew. And Mama Ruach was talking to me. This was before I knew Torah. But I was always praying and always asking for direction. And David was in the military, and he came back from Korea and was getting ready to be sent over there. And I said, no, David, no. Do you really want to go over there? Do you really? And he even said no. So we together talked about it. We together made the decision. And then he went and told his dad, who hated me and blamed me for all the problems of the family. But I had 2 small children. I didn't want my husband going over there. And we had friends in the military who were already over there having problems, all kinds of problems because of the shots that were given to them, and all kinds of problems, the violence that they were seeing over there in combat. I didn't want that for my husband, and he didn't want it either. So he did not make the military his career like the rest of his, like his father and his older brother did. But I didn't want that for David, and David didn't want that for David. Verse 9, and women have borne giants, and the whole Eretz thereby were filled with blood and unrighteousness. So the women were the vessels, the wombs to bring forth these Nephilim half-breed giants that corrupted the whole earth. Bereshit, chapter 6, 5 and 6. And Yahuwah saw that the wickedness of the man was great in the earth, and that every imagination, every thought of his heart was only evil continually. And the master repented that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. Yahushua was grieved. Colossians 1, Yahushua. Verse 10, and now behold, the souls of those who have died are crying out and making their petition to the gates of the firmament, and their lament has ascended and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds which are done on the earth. Verse 11, and you know all things before they come to pass. And you see all things. Somehow they're talking to the Father now. You know all things, they come to pass, and you see these things, and you have permitted them. And you say nothing to us about these things. What are we to do with them about these things? Chapter 10, verse 1. Then said the Most High, now this is the Father. So they were addressing earlier the Son, but now they're also now addressing the Father. Then said the Most High, the Great One, the set apart one, Uriel, Go to the son of Lamech and say to him, go to Noah and tell him in my name, hide yourself, and reveal to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth, the whole Eretz, will be destroyed, and a flood is about to come on the whole Eretz and will destroy everything on it. So was Noah told to stay in the cities? Was Noah told to stay and associate with people around him? No. He was told to go hide. Leave the cities, leave the people, go hide. Go hide yourself. How did Noah do that? He lived somewhere apart from the rest of the people, but he still preached to the people, but he hid himself from the people. That's what Scripture teaches. Verse 3, and now instruct him, so Yahuwah is telling Uriel to instruct Noah as to what he must do to escape. So there's no rapture. He was being protected and he was going to escape the tribulation and the destruction. Just like today, we're going to escape through second Exodus, whatever's about ready to happen. So Noah was instructed that he would escape if he performed works. It says, Yahuwah said to Uriel, now go instruct Noah as to what he must do, works, to escape, that his offspring may be preserved for all the generations of the world. Noah's offspring, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, produced all skin colors of the earth, including white people. It came from Noah's loins through the son, Shem, Ham, Japheth's loins. White people are not. We didn't come from aliens. We didn't come from the fallen. All humans on the earth came from Shem, Ham, or Japheth. Period. Stick to what scriptures teach, not what the words teach. So Noah was instructed that he had to do something. He had to perform works in order to escape the wrath that was coming. It wasn't enough just to believe in Yahuwah. He had to have works with his belief. Same thing for us today. Verse 4. Verse 4 of chapter 10. And again, the master, L-O-R-D lowercase, said to Raphael, so evidently, is it the father talking or is it the son? These translators mess everything up. So I'm going to go with still the father, not lowercase L-O-R-D, but the Most High, the great and set apart one, who's originally speaking to Uriel. Verse 4, again, Most High Yahuwah said to Raphael, bind Azel, hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness, and split open the desert, which is in Dudael, and cast him in it. So somewhere on the Eretz, somewhere here on the earth, Azel, who all sin is attributed to, is bound here. He's not in Tartarus with the rest of the 200. No, he's somewhere here on the Eretz in the desert. Verse 5 says, fill the hole by covering him with rough, jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him live there forever, and cover his face that he may not see light. Interesting. And on the day of the great judgment, he shall be hurled into the fire. So when it says leave him there forever, it doesn't mean for eternity. Forever means a certain period of time, if you look up the words. Because he's there for a certain period of time, but once the great day of judgment comes, then he's going to be taken out of that prison in the desert and thrown into the lake of fire. So he's not in the desert forever, though the scriptures say forever. It doesn't mean forever eternity. It means for a long duration of time. Do word research, people. Revelation 19, verse 20. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought the miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast. So not everybody's going to receive the mark of the beast. And them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive, the false prophet along with the beast, into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone. Verse 7. of chapter 10. And so this is the direction to Raphael. Go bind Azel, but now he's also getting other directions. Yahuwah says, heal the earth, heal the eretz, which the fallen ones have ruined, and proclaim the healing of the earth. So there's no destruction of the earth. There's a renewing of the earth. There's a healing of the earth. There's no destruction of the earth. And heal the plague, that not all of the children of men may perish, through all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons. So for tonight, I'm going to end with chapter 9. And the next time we do a recording of the book of Enoch, I will continue with chapter 10.